Hey guys, this is Tauna. Today we have the 2024 State of Design for Magic the Gathering. I'm pretty excited to read this, to kind of hear about what feedback people have given and what kind of, the Magic devs have kind of taken back and taken to heart and how they're going to change things in the future. I think that is a great kind of article, and I'll link it down below because I think it's important for people to kind of check out. Now you'll notice that I'm not on the screen, but that's because I wanted you guys to be able to actually see it. But before we get into it, make sure you do subscribe, share the video around and all that kind of stuff. You guys, and let me know if you like this kind of video where I'm kind of reviewing an article, if that makes sense, because I think that it's kind of, I think that I like to talk about and give my own feedback as I'm going. Maybe you guys agree with me, and it's something that we can talk about in the comments as well, which is great. Like, I want to hear you guys as to what your feedback is on their feedback that they're giving. This is written by Mark Rosewater, obviously, and it kind of goes through the most recent year of design. This goes from Lord of the Rings, Tales of Middle-earth through to Modern Horizons 3. And I do like at the very start here, they talk about the last Magic year for some had the best-selling sets of all time and some misses, including our worst-performing set in many years. I think that we all know which set that is, which is Karlov Manor, which sucks because Karlov Manor had some great stuff in it, but also had a lot of kind of missteps. So we'll talk about that when we kind of get down to it. So overall Magic design here, they talk about pushing more boundaries, which I think is great, kind of pushing boundaries with mechanics, making fun mechanics, but also interesting ones, and bringing back previous ones, leading into Resonance. Now, this is both a good thing and a bad thing, which I'll talk about a little bit down below, but making it so that there's something for everyone, I think is good, because it's kind of the thing where it helps bring more people in, and then also you're not kind of have that kind of thing where, like, if someone doesn't like Bloomburrow or doesn't like Duskmourn or something, where they're kind of stuck on a plane for 2 or 3 sets, then they might kind of get disheartened with Magic for a little bit. But I think that also creates some issues where, we're kind of moving on from a plane too quickly, or, if it's a plane that you really like, say, for example, Bloomburrow, I would love to see more exploration of Bloomburrow, but it's unlikely that we'll have that for a while, I would assume. A lot of cool individual card designs as well. I 100% agree with that. There's some really cool stuff that came out. So the lessons they said here is we were too on the nose with our tropes. Now, this here, they talk about, the fact that they kind of went too hard into some of the tropes and everything, which isn't kind of my issue so much, but I do agree with, like, for example, Karlov Manor, I think, is the biggest one there, where they went too heavily into the detectives and everyone's wearing a detective hat, etc., etc. While I also just think that not being stuck, like kind of moving on from a plane too quickly is a bit boring. Like OTJ, for example, I think should have been explored more. Bloomburrow, I think, should be explored more. Duskmourn should have been explored more, but we don't get to do that anytime soon. Some individual mechanics were too complex. I don't know entirely which mechanics they're talking about so much here. Personally, I don't think anything's been too complex. I do think that the writing on the cards has potentially kind of got out of control and stuff. There's just too much text on things, but I don't think the individual mechanics were too complex. Maybe evidence, actually. Yeah, I'd say evidence and craft potentially were a little bit more kind of too wordy and too complex, potentially. Planes need to be more ingrained in the bigger picture. I think this one here is huge there. I don't agree with Bloomburrow. I think that Bloomburrow is a good one to kind of be set off to its side, but like OTJ more tied into stuff, Karlov Manor kind of more tied into stuff, I think would be good. Now, I don't know if that means that they need to do more kind of side stories or not to kind of tie in with it, or actually card-wise kind of tying in with it more. Both I think would work, but also when you go and like grab a random character like Callan and make him the main character for the next kind of big arc and stuff, it ends up kind of feeling a little bit separate because of the fact that the main character we're following is not like a character that we have as much kind of investment into. So starting with the Tales of Middle-earth here. So the highlights here talking about the fact that they captured the books mechanically really well. And I 100% agree with that. They did some amazing work there. The flavor is always spot on. You know, the mechanics that they kind of tie in with that, going like, you know, just overall kind of Lord of the Rings. It is a Lord of the Rings set. It is great. And I do agree with that with almost all of the Universes Beyond stuff. Like the Doctor Who ones are insanely great, so flavorful and like in-depth and stuff. It's really, really great. I love it. The set excelled at its creative elements. That kind of ties back into there, and 100% agree. The execution of mechanics led to good gameplay. There is a lot of really great gameplay and fun mechanics within there. The food tokens I actually love, and the scrying is really great as well. The Nazgul, while I haven't built a deck around them, I think that they are an interesting kind of card mechanic, and I think that the Ring Tempts You is good, but also just kind of clunky, which I guess leads into this part here where they talk about it being kind of clunky and stuff, and doesn't capture the feel of the ring having a downside. I 100% agree with that. The actual One Ring card kind of does, where, you know, you get the bird and things and you're taking more damage and stuff, but the Ring Tempts You not so much kind of shows, oh, the ring is bad. It's just you're getting good stuff, which is a bit of a shame. This part here with the limited, I think that that's kind of something that happens with a few sets where one like color combination just dominates. But they talk about, you know, it was better than others here. Two of the cards were too good. So they talk here specifically about the One Ring and Orcish Bowmasters, both insanely great mechanics. Insanely great cards. Both absolutely dominate, like modern dominate. Like, not dominate, well, actually, I would say almost dominate Commander and stuff. They're really, really great there. And then they talk here specifically about their concern about the ability to reprint them. We do have the ability to do so and can make an in-universe equivalent. And that I agree with. Like, if you actually look at the One Ring card, which for some reason is showing up in Elvish here, it is not a card that they can't like reprint and stuff. Orcish Bowmaster is the same. Like, neither one of those necessarily needs to be specifically Lord of the Rings, and they said we do have the ability to do so and can make them in-universe equivalents. So that is really, really great to see that they can reprint those, because, you know, I think a fair few people are kind of concerned about the One Ring and stuff being reprinted. I'm not concerned about those ones. I'm more concerned about, you know, like a Legolas card or something like that kind of get reprinted that's actually themed. I have to see if they can make, you know, in-universe equivalents of those kind of thing, rather than these two mechanics, like these two cards that aren't even necessarily like needing to be Lord of the Rings. All right, we've got Wilds of Eldraine. They talk about the Enchanting Tales and the enchantment bonus sheet, which is amazing. I absolutely love it. You know, I love these kind of bonus sheets that kind of show up and stuff with a thematic that's behind the set, like, you know, the Enchanting Tales, because Wilds of Eldraine is like all fairy tales and stuff like that. It's just really, really cool, and it's fun to kind of open them and stuff as well. There were some complaints that the bonus sheets didn't play better in Limited. That's kind of one thing as well, is that these bonus sheets, especially now that they've got, like, you know, draft and set boosters combined into play boosters, is that it could cause some issues where, you know, you get an insanely great reprint within the bonus sheet, and now you can use that in your limited / like, you know, your sealed pre-release and stuff like that. I think that's a valid kind of concern, but then again, I hope that they don't stop doing it just because of that. They like the draft archetypes, plays like the draft archetypes, which is great. The mechanics were mostly well received, which is good. Rolls were fiddly and had logistic issues. So this is obviously about the kind of rolls because they're like token auras kind of thing. They're hard to remember and was often hard to get the appropriate token limited. Some complained there were too many, while a few different group wished that they were more dissimilar from one another. A final complaint was they wish rolls had a bigger mechanic impact in constructed. They are kind of like in constructed, like if you've got like Olivia, I think her name's Olivia. She obviously creates a whole bunch of stuff, which is good, but it also means that, like, it's not going to be like a deck that you can build around like the token enchantments and stuff. It's just like, you know, you've got them and then you can spread them out and stuff to places. Some players wanted more representation of the courts. So obviously, you know, Wilds of Eldraine was a sequel, well, return to Throne of Eldraine. But instead of kind of sticking to the monocolor theme that they had within Throne of Eldraine, they kind of moved over to like the different kind of the Wilds of Eldraine stuff instead. I can understand why people would want this to kind of continue on. It's kind of similar to how with people with Murders wanted, like Murders at Karlov Manor, wanted it to be like a dual colored set. Like you've got this kind of ties to Eldraine as being this set built around the kind of 5 courts and stuff. I personally liked it, like seeing a different version of the kind of like the plane and stuff. Some players wanted fairy tale top downs less on the nose. Yeah, I agree with that. I think that that's kind of like if they, it's a hard kind of line to walk though, because you want there to be like those representations of the fairy tales or whatever the kind of thematic is and stuff, but then they can easily go kind of like tip it too far. I don't think Wilds of Eldraine did it so much. As opposed to like Murders at Karlov Manor, which lent way too heavily into the kind of detective stuff. Ixalan was probably my favorite set of all these ones that's on here. Players like the amazing world building and flavor, 100% agree. Players like the evolution of Ixalan. This was actually really interesting, kind of the continuation and the kind of pushing forward in the story of the plane is really cool. Your players who wished they upped the typal themes a bit more, as the original Ixalan was a typal theme. But if you do that, then people then kind of get a bit disappointed if their typal isn't represented, or it also kind of becomes more of an issue with like limited play, or if you're not, basically anything that's not constructed. Players enjoy the artifact and graveyard themes. See, I liked some of it, but I did not like, all right, so look at here. They like the discover, descend, at crafting and maps. I did not like crafting, but I did like the other ones. The set didn't feel underground enough. Yeah, that's true. It was meant to be like an underground world kind of journey to the center of the earth kind of thing. And it didn't feel too much like that. But also that's because there was just so many like dinosaurs that are outside and stuff along those lines. Mechanics felt too fiddly. Descend got the most negative feedback. I guess that's the thing, is that like I had to actually correct the guy who was running our pre-release because he was saying about Descend, and then we're talking about tokens, and then someone said about, you know, he was saying about, oh yeah, tokens will count for Descend, but it's like, no, tokens don't, because they're not a card that stays in your graveyard kind of thing, which was a little bit, which wasn't great. Some players dislike the Jurassic World tie-in. I don't agree with this. I like the Jurassic World tie-in, but that's also because I like that kind of universes beyondy kind of stuff kind of going in there. Murders at Karlov Manor. Murders like the murder mystery theme in moderation. Yep, agreed. In moderation, it would have been good, and if it wasn't like the whole set, I think it was good, but it was like all of a sudden that everyone was a detective and the detectives were everywhere and that was it, or it was either detectives were everywhere or people doing crimes everywhere. Players enjoyed many of the murder mystery themed mechanics. Investigate was great. Yep. Collect evidence I did not like, but I do like the cases and surveil themes, surveil lands, but that's because collect evidence, like, one, I don't like the way it's like named. Like, I think that there was better ways for them to be able to name it, but overall, you know, I like the other ones. Some players enjoyed Disguise. Yes, I like Disguise. I have Disguise as one of my main precons. I like main decks that are built off of that precon. Other players preferred Morph. I guess like the main difference with the War kind of adding on there, but the other issue is that Morph, like not having the protection for your face down creatures that are all like you know 3/3s. They're 3/3s, right? I can't remember if they're 3/3s or 2/2s. Either way, not having like that protection for them means that you could have like big thing just blown out really easily, which wasn't great. The set was a bad execution of a backdrop set. Yeah, I guess the thing here is that they, like the way they used Ravnica, it didn't so much feel like Ravnica. Like you've got the Ravnica characters there and stuff. I think that New Capenna, yeah, I 100% agree. I think New Capenna would have been great. On top of that, the set just spent too much of its real estate on the murder mystery theme. Yeah. Yeah, like, I guess that's the thing, is that if they did other stuff alongside it, so like if they did New Capenna, for example, for the murder mystery, you could have done like a third or a half of the cards kind of based around that kind of murder mystery, and then the rest kind of building up New Capenna a bit more. The detective mechanics were overdone. Detective Typal and Suspect were less loved. Suspect's just weird. Like, I don't like Suspect so much. It was just like weirdly kind of clunky. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I thought it was too clunky, but yeah, Limited was too aggro. I think that's the like on and off between sets though. There's some that just like Limited and Sealed are just so aggro, and while others not so much. Not that that's not valid kind of criticism, but yeah. Outlaws of Thunder Junction, players enjoyed the suite of mechanics, 100% agree. Spree was really great. I absolutely love Spree. Committing crimes is very interesting. Saddle I could probably do without, but that's because like I don't care so much about the mounting. And then mounting like things in game. And then Outlaw Batch I really, really loved too. Limited played great, 100% agreed. I played OTJ twice, I think. Two pre-releases, and it was really, really fun, and enjoyed the Western flavor. Yes, except I felt like there just wasn't enough of the Western theme, mostly because they just excluded guns completely. The plane felt paper thin. Yeah. There wasn't much kind of built into the plane. Like, there was no kind of world building here. This was exacerbated by the lack of Planeswalker's Guide through the world building team did a lot of work. Like, there just didn't feel like enough in the plane. It just felt like, you know, it's a desert. That's it. That's all we really know about it. And there's a desert that people live here. Boom. Compounded by the set's large amount. See, I had no issue with the large amount of legendary creatures. That was all fine, except for the fact that it was never kind of explained as to what was going on or anything along those lines. The tone felt too jokey. The lack of exploration of the Fey plane function was heightened by the number of cards in the set that had a lighter tone. Yeah, that's true as well. Like, it ended up just becoming like, instead of being like a Wild West theme, it was like everything's what's that thing? Everybody dies in the Wild West or whatever. That one movie with like Mark Wahlberg, and that's it. Like, it just felt like kind of really, yeah, I think paper thin, too jokey kind of thing makes sense. Then we got Modern Horizons 3. Many players love the references and callbacks. 100% agree. I love that. I love the fact that they took cards that were older cards, added new mechanics, and then renamed them slightly. And it's like, that is clearly a reference to this older card. Is really good. The themes were fun. Energy, Eldrazi, and Modified were all called out as compelling. 100% agree. Really, really great. I love all those mechanics. Limited was a blast. Yep, I 100% agree with that. And the double face cards were a big hit. Yep, I agree with all of those. I think that, you know, Modern Horizons 3 was a really great set, and kind of felt really great. The pricing was my major issue with it. Many players didn't like the impact on the older formats, especially Modern. Yeah, I guess the kind of power creepy kind of stuff there. Yeah, like, there's a whole bunch of cards from this that would just kind of overtook Modern, but I don't play Modern, so that's not really something for me to kind of talk about. Two cards have balance issues. Nadu, we've talked about so much, and then Writhing Chrysalis upset many Limited games. Yeah, Writhing Chrysalis is pretty strong too. Like, yeah, that's bonkers. We leaned on our themes too much, not enough wacky payoffs. I guess that's the thing, is that they kind of went really heavily into the Eldrazi and the energy themes and the like the not augmented, what is it? Modified. So there wasn't so much to kind of play around like that, the rest of the kind of stuff that was kind of going on there, which was a bit unfortunate. I love the fact that they kind of brought back nearly every single mechanic in some way within the set. I thought it was really, really cool. But that's it for today. I'd love to hear from you guys as to what you think. I hope you guys had a wonderful day, and goodbye.